Senator Coons joins us now. Okay, so let's talk more politics here on Morning Joe. The Republicans, the health care plan, and the repeated "is it okay if I say," with all due respect, lies. Are Republicans in the Senate going to actually do anything with this bill or start all over again?
Well, Mika, it's my hope that they're going to start all over again because, as you heard, the folks who were on the TV shows this Sunday made just outrageous claims for the bill that's been passed out of the House. At the end of the day, this is about people. And what I'm hearing from Delawareans up and down the state as I was here this weekend is real concern. Folks with pre-existing conditions, folks who already pay too much for their out-of-pocket costs or for their insurance, are really anxious about the provisions in the bill that passed the House. Once we get a CBO score for it and know what it costs, I'm hopeful that Republicans in the Senate will take a hard run at trying to put together a bill that works, conclude that they can't do that on their own, and then begin working across the aisle and try to find a way together to fix the parts of the Affordable Care Act that don't work and to move forward together. So far, I'm not very encouraged. The working group in the Senate isn't reaching out. I've made repeated overtures to Republicans, as have many other Democrats in the Senate. But I think at the end of the day, if we focus on those who advocate for America's health, AARP, the American Nursing Association, the American Medical Association, if we look at their view of this House bill, they've all panned it. They all think that it's really going to hurt Americans. And we should make our focus what's going to make Americans healthier and find a way to come together and to pass a bill that will actually fix things that need to be improved about the Affordable Care Act.
Nick Confessori.
Senator, on that topic, can you give us a sense, 2 or 3 things that if the working group comes to Democrats, that the Democrats could work with the Republicans on improving about Obamacare? 2 or 3 things that could be areas of common agreement where some Democrats would sign on to a bill that could improve or fix some real problems with the program.
Well, first, we'd have to actually keep the promises that have been made, both by President Trump and by Republicans over the weekend as they characterized the bill. Retain the national protection for pre-existing conditions, for example. But there's things about how the insurance market is working that just aren't sustainable. Small businesses, for example, in Delaware, have told me over and over that they can't afford the Affordable Care Act in states like Delaware where there's just not enough competition. We need to work together to find ways to increase competition, to keep insurance companies in the market, and to not drive them out. I'm worried that there are going to be administrative actions by the Trump administration in the coming weeks and months that will drive the existing marketplaces into the death spiral they talk about. They're not currently in a death spiral, but they could be there. So we should come together to propose ways to fix insurance before it becomes a crisis.
Mark Halperin.
Senator, you've talked about what you'd like the outcome to be. I'm wondering what you think Senator McConnell's strategy is here as you've observed him over the years and think about going forward in the next few months. What do you think he's going to try to do to get a bill through the Senate?
My guess is that Leader McConnell is going to take some time here. And while he may ultimately pass a bill in the Senate, I think he will send it to conference with the House. That conference will go on a very long time, and we won't actually see a final product until after the 2018 elections.
All right, Katie Kat.
Senator, I just wanted to ask you about France being on the Foreign Relations Committee. How much of a sigh of relief are you as a Democrat breathing this morning, and is there a risk that this is premature given that actually Le Pen doubled her father's vote and clearly a third of French voters voted for something that is very different from the vision that most Democrats would support here in the United States?
Well, Kathy, as an American, as someone who values democracy and our European allies, I did heave a huge sigh of relief as I found out about the outcome. And you make a good point. I think part of why Le Pen lost was because of her performance in the one-on-one debate against Macron, where she was just poisonous. She engaged in the sort of mudslinging that characterized her father's career in politics more than hers. And the nation looked at it and said she's just not ready to run the country and her values don't reflect France's political values. Macron is young and untested. And it's entirely possible that he will try and face up to the security and economic challenges that France faces and fail, and that there will be another round of populism. So I think you're right, Caddy, we shouldn't take too much comfort from this. But if you look at the outcome in the Austrian elections, the Dutch elections, and now the French elections, there is a reassuring trend of a willingness, barely, for these countries to stay in the EU, to stay in the common project of NATO. And I think as all of us work to confront Russian aggression, we need our allies. I think there is no doubt that Russia intentionally interfered in the French elections. They engaged in this sort of big stack dump of lots of emails and fake news just before the election. That was also, I think, a key part of their interference in our election. And I think all of us in the Western democracies should sit up and take notice.
Senator Chris Coons, thank you so much. Good to see you again.